Well, hello. It looks like we're live. Hey, I want to try this for the first time, doing a little live streaming. I don't think anybody's going to be, seeing this, but because I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it and I didn't announce it, I just kind of jumped on here and started live streaming. So I'm playing around with some things and see what I can do, what I can't. Don't know what I can do. We will find out here. But hopefully somebody will jump on and be able to put a comment on here. Actually, I could probably jump into another account with my phone and then uh, post a comment through that one. You know, see what I can do. Let's see here. See if it'll let me. See if it shows me live. It does look like I'm live. Awesome. Yeah, I'm the only one watching. Oh, there you go. So man, this has been a crazy week. I've done a lot of stuff in the last few weeks. It's been, oh man, a lot of wildlife. It's not a lot of wildlife. But some wildlife stuff I've got done here. Let me turn this off. So one of the things I just did last night, I had somebody bring me a goose. It's my daughter's best friend. She brought me a goose that she found on the side. What he found on the side of the road. I guess it's more like in the road. It said it couldn't fly. Probably had a injured leg. So I brought it in and took a look at it. And well, yeah, it had an injured leg. It had two injured legs. Somebody had discarded their fishing line, about a 20-pound heavy, 20-pound test line. That just really irritates me when people do that. Just pick up your trash. It's not hard to pick up your fishing line. So people just threw it out, I guess. It wrapped around one leg, somehow got across its back and wrapped around the other leg. It'd been there long enough that it actually had sunk into the leg and it cut the circulation to both feet. So it could not move both feet. It can kind of hobble a little bit around. Kind of sad. So I was able to cut that off. Unfortunately, it was so deep into the skin that the cut circulation too long, wasn't able to save the animal. So it's really irritating to see, you know, things die that are so unnecessary, so easy to fix. But oh well. Well, hello, Inside Out Aquatics, Sketty. I recognize you guys' names. Who else do we got? I guess good last night again. Yeah, I'm just trying this for the first time. See how this goes. It's kind of weird sitting there talking to your camera, but I'm usually long winded. Well, as you saw, I don't know what goes out. I don't know what everybody can see yet. I'm still trying to figure this out. But it should have said something about me getting a new car, which was kind of exciting. I didn't get it wasn't my personal car, but it was a work vehicle. They got me a 2024 Chevy Malibu RS. It's a really nice car. It's got like all the bells and whistles. It's got a ton of cool features in it. So I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that my company would even buy vehicles like that. I was just blown away why I got it. Other people in my crew, they got they have cars that are way worse shape than I am. Mine was. So they took my car and gave it to someone else. But somehow I was fortunate and lucked out. So I thought it was pretty cool. Let me see. Is there anybody can tell me people are actually watching? If anybody, I don't think I can. Anyhow, doesn't really matter. So a few weeks ago, I got a call from the game warden, which is not super common, but definitely happens every couple months or so. I get a call. Active times when I get three or four calls from him. I get calls from other people about wildlife stuff all the time, but he was saying, "Hey, I got one for you." And I was like, "What do you mean you got one for me?" Well, ended up because I got a red-tailed hawk that somebody had in their backyard. And I guess they tried to find a rehabber to help it because it just kind of fell out of the sky. Not sure exactly what that means, but it fell out of the sky. So I'm like, okay. And I guess he took it upon himself to wrap it up in a towel or something and get it into a container, which is what you should do. If you find injured wildlife, get it in a container. Uh, so in a good container, not just any container. I mean, you need something that it's not going to be easy to get out of. We tell people secure containers, but for some reason people don't understand that. I guess they'll bring you animals with no, that don't even have a lid on the container, and it gets out in their car and all kind of crazy stuff. So I guess this guy actually contained it correctly, and decided since he couldn't get a hold of anybody to take it up to the police department. Yeah, so he dropped it off at the police department, and they made him leave it outside. Then they went and got it after he left, and then they called the game warden, which is what the guy should have done anyhow. He should have called the game warden and let them know. But anyhow, so the game warden called me about it, and said, "Hey, could you go pick it up?" So yeah, so I'll go pick it up. So I go pick up this red-tailed hawk and realize real quickly it's not a red-tailed hawk. It's definitely a juvenile of a couple different species that you'd be surprised that the juveniles, I'm talking, fully feathered out juveniles, but not less than a year old, basically birds, they look really similar. Things like red-shouldered hawks, Cooper's hawks, even Mississippi kites and broadwing hawks all really look pretty similar. Well, I wasn't thinking broadwing hawk. I was thinking, like we've got a lot of Mississippi. I mean, a lot of red-shouldered hawks, and we've got a lot of Mississippi kites in. So I thought, man, it must have been a red-shouldered hawk. And I'm looking at, it, go, man, something's wrong because its feet are small. The red-shouldered hawks have fairly large feet, and Cooper's hawks have really long, thin toes for grabbing birds and things out of the air. So I was like, what is this thing? So I thought, it's probably just red-shouldered. It kind of looked like that, but hang on, it's really small. So it's kind of weird. Hey, Mexicali Fish Keeper, welcome. So, uh, didn't really think much about it. Took it straight up to the main rehabbers. I'm just a sub-permitted wildlife rehabber, so I take stuff in, and I can triage it and euthanize it if I have to. If it's something that I can euthanize pretty easily, that obviously needs euthanized. This bird looked nothing wrong with it. I couldn't find a single thing wrong. It just wasn't flying. But I assumed that was because it was a juvenile. Excuse me. And by the way, anybody can tell me how my audio sounds? I've got a brand new mic, and I played around with it a little while. It looked like sounded like it was going to do pretty good. You could probably hear some water in the background dripping, but that's my fry grow out systems. I got to figure a way to either get a better microphone or turn those off. But anyhow, so took this bird up to the rehabbers and she took a look at it and she goes, "Wait a second, this thing looks like a a broadwing hawk." And I was like, "Oh man, I didn't even think about broadwing because that's like the first broadwing that I've actually had in my." Well, thank you, Skitty. Thank you, Mexicali. So this is the first a first broadwing hawk that I'd ever picked up like that. So that was kind of cool. But what they look like is if uh, you drive down the road, most places have the red-tailed hawks, the big, nice big old red-tailed hawks, the big red tail. Well, when they're juveniles, they don't really have that red tail. It's more of a brown tail with banding on it. Well, take that and shrink it down to about a quarter of the size of a red tail. That's what a broadwing hawk basically looks like. So pretty cool. Pretty cool, neat little hawks. It'd be kind of fun to hunt little grasshoppers or hunt mice and things with those. It'd be kind of cool. Hello, Scott. Recording stop. Well, I don't care about that. Eventually, if I keep doing this, I'll buy the EV Mac Mux. I'm EV Mux. I'm trying it out right now, but so yeah, that's kind of interesting. Sometimes when the game wardens call me about weird animals all the time. So I've been hello. So yeah, been trying to breed quite a few fish here, and I did learn something here recently. I've been breeding, trying to see if my killifish, some of the species, they say you have to have soft, neutral water, or maybe even soft, slightly acidic water. Well, my water is not too hard, really. Depends on how you look at hardness. I've heard all kinds of different people talk about hardness, and they talk about different things. Some will talk about TDS and call that hardness. Others will just consider a GH their hardness. Others consider just KH. The other, it's a mix of GH and KH. So the way my water sits, it's got pretty low GH, really high KH. Uh, but in my pH is like 8.6 or so. It tops out. I can't tell you how what the high the the pH is. So theoretically, on a lot of these fish, that's not supposed to work. So, but I was like, I can always try it. So I've had some pretty decent luck, with decent success with breeding a lot of these different species. There's been one that I have not been able to breed yet, and that is the Aphyosemion striatum. Haven't had a single egg from those, and they look like they're full size. The female looks all egged up. They're super fat. There's no reason they shouldn't be laying eggs, but they're just not. And I've had those for about 2 or 3 months. Haven't had a single egg. So I decided, hey, okay, I had to wait till it rained. Give me some rainwater. I've got a 275-gallon tote out back collecting rainwater. So I collected a bunch of rainwater and put the rainwater, took about 90% of the water out of my tank. Put straight over time because it was really hot outside, so the water was hot. So I had to put in 5 gallon buckets, and well, I don't have a 5 gallon tank they're in, so it wasn't that big a deal. So just waited and slowly put the water in there, and man, 2 days later, which was today, I got eggs. There was only two fertile eggs. There's a couple other eggs that collapsed as soon as I try to pull them off the spawning mount. They just collapsed, so I know they're not fertile. But those two, man, they look really good. So I am really excited about that. And I've got a couple other species that seem to be putting out eggs sometimes, but the eggs aren't really hatching out right with low hatch rates. So I'm wondering if I just go ahead and switch over to more of the acidic water, I may have better luck. So that's what I'm gonna start doing. Probably maybe tomorrow night or this weekend. Start swapping out some water, see what happens, and just collecting rainwater seems to work great. So, uh, man, I think I think that's the way to go. I think I've got eggs from, I think I counted 17 different species right now. That's just it's a lot of fun. Killifish are just, man, they're so underappreciated. Definitely underappreciated. Let's see if I can switch. I wonder if I can bring up a screen up and share it. That could be kind of neat. Well, I need something to share. I don't really have anything on this computer. Kind of a new computer. A really good friend of mine, actually, it's my uh, youngest daughter's fiance. He had a computer he didn't need. It's got some screen problems, messed up screen, and some other things going on with it. So he completely blew it out, gave it to me. He had Windows 8 on it, so I had to redo all that. Got Windows 10 on it, working great. It's actually probably one of the best computers I have in my house. So I'm gonna order a screen. The screen looks really simple to swap out. So any tips on clown killies? That's one killifish I'm still looking for, and I need to start breeding those guys. But I think what most people do is they just let me try something here. Uh, hey, all right, man, that worked. That looks good. Cool. All right, so I'm doing that. Anyhow, so what most people do is get a really heavily planted tank, and they just put the killifish in there and feed them up really good and leave them alone for a while. They'll do either just leave them completely be and then just fry show up type of thing. It's a natural way of breeding them, or uh, they will take the parents once they leave the parents in there for a while. They'll pull those parents out and put them in a different container and let the whatever eggs in there hatch out, and that's how they do it. But I have not actually done that yet. Hello, Coro. Reptile Whisperer, yeah. I mean, I could talk about reptiles. What I plan on doing with this channel too, when I do go live, is not really focused just on fish. I'm going to focus on all kinds of stuff because I've got lots of interest. Obviously, I'm a reptile guy. I've got the what kind of snake is this North Texas Facebook group that helps people identify snakes basically anywhere right now. But it was designed to start here in North Texas, so that got me kind of a lot of notoriety, and everybody here in my area knows who I am. Uh, got so popular that I even made like a 4 page spread in Scientific American, which was kind of cool. They came out, did a photo shoot on a bunch of different my snakes and a friend's snake, and then I think got one photo of me in there too. So that was kind of cool. Just start with mops for my Achilles. What kind of Achilles? Inside out, outside in. Sorry, outside in. Quality. Let me see. You say what you had, maybe. No, I don't see. But hey, if let me know what kind of Achilles you got. Sir, first time I catch your live stream. Nice. Well, hey, you know what, DJ Guppyfish, this is the first time I've live streamed, so you got the very first one. So I have no idea what I'm doing. Playing around just to kind of see how this goes. I may or may not keep doing this. We'll see. Did everyone remember that thumbs up? Yeah, give me a thumbs up. That'd be cool. I'd appreciate that. Craig's Fish Cave. Hello. I don't think I've seen your name on things before. That's cool. Uh, let's see through here, scrolling, see if there's any questions. Too much knowledge to pass. Oh, nice. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, the clown killies, yeah, they both spawn mop. You can throw a spawn mop in there and then pull the adults out too, and they can spontaneously just kind of fish to show up in there. That's kind of a fun way of doing it. I really need to uh, really need to do that. Get some of those guys going because a lot of people have asked me if I have any of those, but I just haven't. Uh, I just got to find a time, and I got kind of the space, but I got so many eggs right now that I'm afraid to put too many more fish in tanks that I might need to use for fry. I have a lot of different species, but sometimes I only get two or three, maybe four a fry actually hatch out. So I've got a lot of little containers. One of the tricks that I've seen people do, it worked good for me for a long time, was to use the little parts bins. They're about this tall or so, and they got the parts bins are about this wide, about this deep, and you just like little trays in there. You got to plug the hole up in them, but then you use those as miniature aquariums basically, and put some. I always put a snail in there. You've got to have a snail if you're doing those things. You got to drop a snail and some plants in there, and do water changes pretty frequently on that because it's such a small water volume. The trick is to feed right, and you can't overfeed or you'll contaminate the tank pretty quickly. But if you underfeed, your fish won't grow quickly enough, and it'll take forever for them to get big enough to get out of that. So you've got to get really good at what you're feeding. So some of the Achilles are so small, especially some of the like Nothia branchius. You got to use infusoria or sometimes vinegar eels, but sometimes vinegar eels are even too big. But you do that for just 2 or 3 days. They grow so fast to throw them baby brine shrimp very quickly. Let's see what you're sitting in a hot car. Oh man, it finally cooled off here. It's been hot so long. But, two male Achilles and five female killifish. Nice. But I remember, I didn't. There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start live streaming more often and giving little tips and tricks and things like that that I do. I got a lot of little things I do that I didn't realize. I thought everybody kind of did, but apparently not. And you know what? I did do something kind of cool here. Oh, where did everything go? Man, that thing scrolled on me. Only Oscars. Welcome. Let's see what else I may have missed. I think that's about all. So one of the things I did for my fry, I've been buying different fry foods. The golden pearls. They work okay, but I found with some of my Achilles, they didn't eat them off the top, and they floated too long, and then they fouled all up and get the surfaces all fouled up and nasty. And then I tried the fish guy's place. Man, he's got. You want to talk about some cool live foods? Go to that guy's website. It's the what is it called? Fish Guy's Place. I have his card up there. I'm looking at right now. Go to the Fish Guy's Place. He's got some really really good live foods. Things like micro worm, not micro worms, vinegar eels. But he does a hyper dense culture. He's calling it. So he keeps those like you keep micro worms. So he's got this really dense colony going, so you don't have to have the bottles of vinegar, which I've done. So I'm experimenting to see if I can get my own culture going. It's the hyper dense way, but that's pretty cool. But uh, what I've done recently, just like a week now, so I haven't really had a long term test on this. But I like to feed um, Flueville bug bites, and I took the bug bites and I ground them up, and that worked okay. But then I realized, hey, I also sometimes will feed picture color granules like LRB does. So I thought, man, what if I took and mixed those? I did about 60% bug bites and probably about 40% the of the picture color granules, and put them in a coffee grinder. Oh man, holy cow! That came out the mixture that I've got. It did take, man, maybe 30 seconds of grinding, if that. I don't know if it took that long. But what came out was it looks like what's that stuff called? Powdered sugar. I mean, it is super fine. I have not seen any food that's any finer than this. So I put that into a like a picnic time. You have the little ketchup bottles, the ketchup bottles. You got the little nozzle on the front. You just squirt out ketchup, mustard containers. Stuck it in that, and now I mean barely squeeze that and just kind of shake it, almost like a shaker, and it comes out perfectly. I mean, and then fish go nuts for it. I've never seen my fry go more nuts. So that was a really cool thing I'm trying, and it works good. More lives. Thank you. I'm gonna try to do some more live stuff. I've got so much stuff going on. So I was talking about before. See, I've got ADHD really bad. My mind's all over the place. That's why I like so many different things. So some of the things I'm doing, obviously, fish. Killifish are my number one passion for fish. Uh, then I also am a licensed falconer. So I'm planning on maybe going out and trying to catch a red-tailed hawk for this season. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to fly a hawk or not. I'm still debating, and they haven't came down yet. They're all still migrated out. It was such a big drought. They left the area. They went way north. I'm assuming this cold front just came through all the rain. It should bring them back down. But I drove from man, how far did I drive? I don't know how far I drove, but it's from Southwest Fort Worth all the way up to Frisco, Texas, which is north of Dallas, all the way back. And man, out in the middle of the country, usually you see them on the flagpoles. I mean, not like flagpoles, but the telephone poles everywhere. I didn't see a single one. And I should have saw at least a dozen today on a normal year. So not a single one. So I've got to wait till they kind of come down. And of course, I like to go out fishing and hiking. Uh, I'm a wildlife. I'm a sub permanent wildlife rehabber, so I do all the rehab stuff. People call me for animals all the time to come get and help out in some way or another. And then also, I am a certified venomous snake instructor. No, I do not teach venomous snake to do tricks. I treat, I teach animal control officers or other people that really need the training to learn how to, that they are going to be interacting with these, not necessarily as a hobby, but because it's part of their job or for maybe the zoo or things like that. Some people need some training. So training them how to safely interact with these snakes. And the first thing we teach though is just leave them alone. If you don't have to, first thing you ask yourself is, do I really need to relocate or to be interacting with the snake in any way? Most of the time, the answer is no. You can find other ways of keeping people away or talking to people. Say, hey, this snake is fine where it's at. But if you have to move it, that's what we teach them how to do it safely. Uh, So those are some of the things I got going on. Found a massive snake poop. Man, I have kept snakes for, well, reptiles in general for, I think it's over 27 years now. And I've been part of either the education director for a herpetological society or the president of a herpetological society ever since. Currently, I'm the president of the Dallas Fort Worth Herpetological Society. So I got kind of tired of cleaning up snake poop, got really burnt out doing all the educational events and things we were doing. We got to the point where we had really the whole team. There's a whole bunch of us, a whole bunch of volunteers to get together, and we bring a lot of different animals to these different events, and we keep adding things to it, doing different, more, bigger, better. Just gets out of control, and eventually, right there before 2000, it was getting to the point we were doing so much I was burning myself out. I mean, I had done this for so long that I just needed a break. And then the good old C word hit, uh, and the human malware, and all those events stopped. And it was, for me, it was a blessing because I was done with doing all this stuff really. And so that kind of kept going for a while. So I ended up going, well, why am I keeping a lot of all these animals? All I'm using them for was education. So people had given me stuff, just flat out giving me different animals, and I asked if they wanted them back. A lot of people took their stuff back, and I had a lot of older animals that just passed on from old age. I just didn't replace. So I really scaled way down. And it's kind of at the same time, a really old passion for the fish kind of hit me. That I've been playing around the creeks and keeping fish for probably just as long or maybe a little longer than actually reptiles, off and on. Not nearly as passionate, just kind of a side thing. A friend of the guy would go out to boat ramps and things and go down and pick a minnow seine down the boat ramp and seine up the ramp and see what we could find. We found all these cool native fish and we take them home and put them in tanks and enjoy them for a while. That was a lot of fun. And that's kind of what I was doing. But then it kind of fell out of that and back to reptiles. And so now I've got quite a few reptiles. I probably have, I don't know, 15, 16 reptiles, or snakes, that is. And a lot of those are venomous snakes that are native to my area that I use for educational events and hands-on type of educational things, like for animal control officers who would teach them. So I've really gotten out of that. So, but now things are kind of kicking back up. So my collection of snakes is starting to grow again because I need some venomous stuff. I found some sheds and a baby. Oh, that's cool. Uh, if you have pictures and you want to email them to me, you can always email them to pileaquatics@gmail.com, uh, or Texas, or what is it? Yeah, Texas Rat Snake at gmail.com is my other email address. Send me good pictures of those sheds, and I could probably identify them for you. At least narrow it down to a genus or a type. Yeah, Fish Guy's place is the top. So I like what he does. He does a lot of cool experiments and stuff too. David Snyder. Hello, sir. He's 50% bug bites and 50% soldier fly larvae. I make three sizes. Very nice. The bug bites are primarily, I don't know if primarily, but a big ingredient is the black soldier fly larvae. So you're basically just upping that, that's great. Uh, a friend of mine had a bunch of those. He was the rescue that that I'm with. Got given a bunch of soldier fly larvae and big containers of them, and they couldn't use them all, so they gave them to me, and I stuck them in the freezer. I was going to freeze them, and then try to grind them up, but it froze into a giant big block. It just did not work very well. So I still have it out there. I'm gonna try to, and now it's dried out. It's kind of freeze dried in my freezer. So I might try to pull that out and grind that up and see what happens. See if it's something I can use it with or something. I'm not sure. Sorry, I was behind. Huh. My wife calls for one of pellets. So I'm assuming though they'll eat the soldier fly. I mean the bug bites. I know that, man. My killifish love those bug bites. I have all kinds of different fish that are supposedly not supposed to eat, especially wild caught stuff. They're not supposed to eat pellets or whatever. Only live foods, like uh, the banded sunfish. A pygmy sunfish, banded pygmy sunfish I've caught in East Texas here. Brought those home and tried feeding them the bug bites. Worked great. They they took them. I was like really surprised they took it. Of course, they're such big granules. I had to put it through my pepper grinder. Uh, I have a small little handheld pepper grinder that I can adjust the coarseness of, and I just got a little bit of that in there, and man, it they went for it. So I was pretty impressed. So I think the bug bites are, man, they're just way underrated. More people should probably use those guys. Those things work really good. Yeah, it takes a while. So you gotta, yeah. I've never kept Oscars yet, especially wild caught Oscars. They're really cool looking fish. I know they can be very personable and they're pretty fun fish, but yeah, I've never kept never kept those. So Saturday, well, my weekend looks like this. My wife just left tonight to go out of town. She'll be gone for a little while here, so I am by myself for a while. And I think what I'm going to do, well, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'll go to work. I have to come off work tomorrow night. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow night. Got about 15 different things I could be doing and should be doing. I might be moving some fry around into better aquariums and pairing up some fish that I need to pair up. Let's see if I can get those breeding too. Then I think Saturday morning, me and Tommy from Silver Creek Aquatics, he doesn't live too far from me, are going to go hit the Fort Worth Nature Center, and we're going to do some bushwhacking up there. I've been asked by one of the newer members out there. He's kind of over. I'm not sure his title is, but he's over the outside part of the nature center. He's asked me to come out there and see if we can do some surveys, looking for the reptiles and amphibians that are I found there. We've done some surveys, but it's been, I don't know, 15 years or more. And what he wants to know is kind of wants to know what's there and what numbers, kind of get an idea of what he can manage. So when it comes time to do some wildlife management out there, he can kind of focus on maybe a certain species that should be more common, but they're not. The habitat may not be quite right for them, so he can kind of try to help them out. So I know there's an area that's pretty hard to get to back there that I've been requested to go and see if I can scout out and see what we can find eventually. So eventually, we'll probably have the Dallas Fort Worth Herpetological Society out there, and we'll be doing a lot more surveys. Probably put some cover boards down. The cover boards are basically pieces of wood, typically plywood, that you lay down. You can kind of stack them in a certain way, I'll throw a stick down or something, lay it on top, so it gives a little spot. It's not flat on the ground. You want it just popped up a little bit, not much, just a little bit, so a snake or something crawl underneath it there. And then you come through in the right kind of weather conditions and flip those over and see what you find. So that can be a lot of fun. That's kind of on down the road a little ways. And of course, he's in the fish too. I'm in the fish. I love going out looking for native fish. So part of it will be probably going out there looking for some fish too eventually. I think this first trip is just going to be more of a scouting adventure. This area's got some little fingers of some creeks and things running through it. I was hoping to get out there before it rained because I knew all that would be dried up and it'd be much easier to navigate back in there. But it rained pretty good last night, so by Saturday it should be dried out enough to get out there and do it. Actually, no, Sunday. That's Sunday we're doing it, not Saturday. Saturday morning, I'm going to get up and go interview a guy named Tim Jones. If you go to TexasSnakeID.com, that's the bigger channel. It's almost got 3,000 people, I think. And it's like maybe it's 2,500 people, whatever it is. It's a bigger channel. Go check that out. He is a old zoo man. So he's got a new book out that he wrote called Texas Zoo Man. I think's the name of it is. I can't remember the name. It's a really big, nice book. I'll have to, in our live stream sometime, I'll come on and have the book and show you. But let's go down there Saturday morning, and I want to interview him and get a lot of video and put it on that channel and try to promote his new book. This guy, man, he's an old timer, man. He's been around for so long. This is long before there was really much concern with individual safety. That was your problem, pretty much. Of course, no OSHA or anything like that. So, there was no real rules. So he's got lots of crazy stories of some of the stuff that happened out there at the zoo. You know, I have, I can't remember if it's on, I don't think I have it on video, but we had a little party out at his place. Oh man, quite a few years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, at his little dock. And he's got this really cool little dock on a little small pond he's got on his property. And he likes to feed his water snakes. So you may have seen him on video. It's a viral video out there of this really nice, sweet old man handing bluegill or other sunfish to snakes, to water snakes, diamondback water snakes in particular. And they take them right out of his hand. They'll come right up to him, and one of them bit him on the leg because he smelled fish on his leg. Really awesome guy. So I'm going to go out there. And I think when we're standing there talking, he had at least 3 stories with primates and guns involved. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It should be a pretty cool interview. But the book, man, the stories in that book, I've actually got a lot of the, not already notes, but the stories before they were actually edited or anything. So I got the raw stories. He sent them to me to look at and see what I thought. So some of the stuff in there is absolutely nuts. So that's going to be a fun morning, going out there interviewing him and kind of hanging out with him. He's a really good friend. He's been, I think he retired from being a curator of the Cameron Park Zoo, which is in Waco, Texas. He went to Lufkin Zoo, the Fort Worth Zoo, when they first got the Serpentarium going. He was like the original guy setting up and stocking snakes and stuff in those enclosures and building those enclosures. Just a phenomenal guy. He actually designed the it's called the Brazos River exhibit at the Cameron Park Zoo. That's kind of all his design. I don't know if anybody lives in the area, you can go check that out. But that's pretty cool. I have books for the turtles. Wow, Oscars eat them vigorously. Saves me a little. Yeah. What kind of turtles do you have there? Only Oscars? So obviously you don't have only Oscars. Hello, Jeff Kane. Welcome. Let's see here. Let me look at the chat, see if there's anything going on. Oh, cool. Hey, Corey TV 414. I will be there, and I will be selling some killifish at the show. So hope to see you there. Come up and introduce yourself. I'm going to next Saturday. Yep. Dad always. Yeah. So check it out. I should have quite a few killies, but a lot of my killifish are still too small. I don't think they're going to be big enough by next weekend. But I've got probably 7 or 8 species that I should have on the table. So that'll be cool. I like doing those shows. I meet a lot of nice people. I get a chance to educate people on some of the killifish. Not a lot of people know anything about killifish. It's a lot of fun to do that. So I'm down at the bottom of the chat. So yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. And Monday, I took Monday off. My wife won't be back to Monday night, so and she works at a bank, so she gets Monday off. So I was like, you know what? I'm taking Monday off too. So I think uh, Monday, I'm not sure. I might go trapping birds, but I have a feeling that the birds aren't going to be down. It's not going to be not a cold front. Although there's a reinforcing cold front going to be coming through, we'll see. If I start seeing birds out, I might go trapping. I invited Tommy to go with me, but I think he's gonna be busy that day. So it'd be I think it'd be a lot of fun. You learn a lot, and it's a blast going out there and trapping uh, birds. But basically, for falconry, you can't just go trap any bird you want to trap. You legally have to try to make sure it's a juvenile bird. They call them passage bird. Basically, it's a first year bird. Most birds of prey will have different plumage their first year when they're born. They hatch out, and then when they shed all their feathers out, and the very first summer when they grow back, they have their adult looking plumage. So you can easily tell on most species the adults from juveniles pretty easily. Now, I'll tell males from females a little trickier. You generally the females are a lot bigger than males, but there is a little bit of overlap in some species, so sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if it's a male or female. But you can always do DNA test and then find out if it's a male or female. So that's not too hard to do that. It's not that expensive either to find out if you really want to know. But so you can only trap juveniles. So you got to take binoculars out there and make sure it's a juvenile, and throw your trap out. And usually doing this along the roadside, driving down the road, and you pull off to the side without trying to scare the bird. And your passenger will throw out a trap as they go by, and with usually a live rodent in it. And then you go to a vantage spot where you can get to that trap pretty quickly, but you're not too close to scare the bird. And you're standing there with binoculars and you're watching, and hopefully eventually it drops down in the trap trying to catch your rodents and gets itself trapped. And then you hastily get over to your newly trapped bird and uh, take a look at it and see if it actually is a juvenile and it's the right species, and see if you really want to keep the bird. And if you do, well, that's then the process of training begins. It's a lot of fun. Let's see if what's the chat's going on in the chat here. Red six red sliders, 25 years old. Nice. Those outside, I'm wondering, if you keep those inside? Those things get pretty good size. A lot of people get them small and they don't realize how big they get, and they don't realize how much it's going to cost in the right, excuse me, in the right equipment. But I think that aquarists are much better at keeping turtles than reptile keepers, because most aquarists understand how to keep water parameters good, what the proper filtration would need to be for something like that. So I just think in general they do better, uh, better keeping them. So I bet you do a lot better job than some of the reptile keepers I've seen. All right, cool, dude. Cool, okay. Breed koi angelfish and polar blue parrot cichlids. Oh, nice. See, I don't know much about cichlids. See, I live in an area here that cichlids rule. I mean, that's a cichlid heavy for sure. And here I don't know much about cichlids, so I've kept some when I was younger, a long time ago. But I'm gonna take a look at those. Sounds like a pretty fish. No wrench power. Huh. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Also, a pair of male and females of albino African clawed frogs. Very cool. Those things are neat. Uh, it's a link to the video. Man's hand feeding snakes. Yes, that's the man. He is Tim Jones, man. He's a really good guy, and he has this almost a British sense of humor. Sometimes it's kind of dry, you know. Uh, One of the stories he has was a spider monkey, and I forget how he got in the cage. He was sitting there or whatever, and he had his hand up, and this spider monkey reaches up and bites him in the hand, and he's just like, I don't like the spider monkey anymore. It's just dry humor like that's just hilarious. I've got some cool feeding videos of my old snakes. Very nice. What kind of snakes did you have? I've kept so many different snakes. I couldn't even begin to tell you. But basically, right now, it's mostly native snakes that I'm using for educational stuff. So that's kind of cool. They vacation indoors. Okay. What kind of area you live in? I guess you live maybe way up north where it gets too cold for them in the wintertime. That could be a problem. But most of the time, as long as it didn't freeze solid, most people leave their turtles outside, during the wintertime. But I mean, there could be situations for sure that it would not work if it gets just too cold and freezes solid. That would be bad. Fun looking at all the fish and take your friends to get food. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And I really like the community, fish keeper community in general is pretty awesome. And we have a lot of good people here in the Dallas Fort Worth area too. I've met a lot of good friends that man have helped me out, and I've helped them out. It's really cool. Hopefully, get more people involved in keeping killies. They're such easy fish to keep. I just understand why people don't keep more of them. Memories today, Jelly Bean Rescue Bearded Dragon. Yeah, I like bearded dragons. I have a lot of fun memories of breeding some bearded dragons. About the same time my daughter was born. So my oldest daughter, I don't know how old she was. She was an infant. And I remember holding her in my arm and walking around and feeding baby bearded dragons and talking to her and about all bearded dragons and how cool they were. And you know what? For some reason, she really likes bearded dragons now. That's one of her favorite animals. She ended up getting a couple bearded dragons for both my kids, and one of them was a male, one's a female. So for some reason, I got a really creative kid, but when it comes to naming animals, sometimes the creativity is not there. So they named the female bearded dragon Lizard Girl, and the boy met the dragon was Lizard Boy. Hey, it worked. So she loved Lizard Boy. Still talks about Lizard Boy and Lizard Girl. It was kind of cool. I keep mostly sick to do shrimp count. I guess shrimp count. I tried some shrimp here. This was several years ago. I didn't really try it very long, but they just seemed to kind of just slowly go away in my tank. And I had a tank that was fairly seasoned up and had a lot of Java moss and stuff in it. And it just over about a month period of time, I had a couple dozen in there, and it just kind of slowly just disappeared. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm all about cichlids. Used to keep African. Now I have South American. Cool. All those snakes and diamond pythons. That's two really pretty snakes. These diamond pythons are awesome. They always get a little big, but I've never kept diamonds. I've kept the what do you call the brain's going dead. It's a long day. Getting tired. What do you call those pythons? They're similar. I'll think it'll pop to my head, middle of the night. I'll wake up and go, oh, yeah, that's what it was. That's how my ADHD brain works. Just getting back in, everyone. Oh, hello. Over the years, oops, almost everything for our Oscars. How many Oscars do you have? Mexican Fish Keeper, Mark, what do you know about the Aquarium National Convention in Houston? I just learned about that a couple months ago, and I know nothing about it other than it's going to be next door to a big reptile show too. I guess there's two hotels, two convention centers, something, but they're supposed to be kind of side by side. And I know the booth cost is really high. It was like $800 for a booth. So I was going, ooh, that's pretty steep, and that's a long way for me to be traveling like that. If I'm going to spend $800 on a booth, I'm going all out. And to travel with all the stuff that I would need, and it's going to be a little too difficult. Not this year, maybe some other time. But I don't know much about it. It's the first time I've ever even heard it exists. So I don't know if it's a new thing or just something maybe new to this area or what. But they claim it's like one of the biggest around. I don't know. So we'll see what they got. I might make it down to the show just to check it out. But we'll see. 7 foot easy. Sky. Uh, I've got I've got the Wisconsin shows. I'm just getting back from fish. Free swim. It's cool. This is our bog carpet. Oh, it was our big carpet. Okay. Ostrich are pushing a foot long already. Oh wow. Man, that's it's pretty cool to watch a fish go from a little bitty like that to something really massive. It's got to be fun. June, I've been at Old House Cleaned. Wasn't happy with my job. Yeah, but uh, so yeah, I've kept a lot of animals, I guess, and I just got tired of cleaning up snake poop and doing water changes seems to be a whole lot easier and more enjoyable. There's just it's frustrating when you clean it an enclosure out for a snake. Man, it looks great. Put all fresh bedding in there, nice new water bowl, everything's great. You drop the snake in, it makes one pass around the cage and then takes a big smearing poop all over the wall or into the water bowl or both. You're going, man, I just cleaned that. And it's like, come on. At least with fish, if they poop in there, you don't even know it usually. So doing the water change and seeing the water just, man, everything look really good in there and the fish react, it's way cooler than doing the fish poop stuff. Poop, poop. Oh man, fish are easier, man. They're way easier. I really enjoy doing the fish. I think I'm up. I know up to over 100 tanks right now. And behind me, I got a green screen right now, and behind that, I got a couple 20 gallons and talls and longs back there. But they're in the process of getting taken down. So I've kind of just neglected them. So there's algae all over everything, and it doesn't look that great. But the fish are fine. Of course, fish don't care. My plan is to pull all that down, and onto my this side of me, there's a 55-gallon aquarium with some native sunfish in there, and it is basically a sump for the fry system. If you ever see Master Dean's fry system, it's basically that on steroids. So I use a 55-gallon aquarium, which is the exact same width as like a 20-gallon aquarium. So I just scaled it up to 55 gallons. So I have a lot more water. And then I've got a pump that pumps it from that sump all the way across top into a like a window. I think they're called a window. I don't know what they're called. They're a planter designed for plants. It's like 3 feet long. So I got the water pumping up on the one end of that, lava rock in the bottom, and I've got money wort hanging off of it, and then there's a peace lily growing out of it. So the water from all the fish, all the fry, and from the bluegill. I think I have long-eared sunfish in there right now. But then all that goes through all that slowly, and then it drops that back down into the 55-gallon aquarium. Uh, it's kind of a it's not nothing brand new. I think they call it a bog system or whatever. But it keeps the water level. I mean, the water really clean. Nitrates are virtually zero in a thing. That's when you kind of hear some trickling. It's part of that system too. But I want to take all that down and upgrade it to one of my latest inventions of the fry rack. So it's kind of like the Master Dean's fry rack that I've made smaller uh, size wise, and but then I've made it so it holds more fish than that one would. So I have a video on that on my the Apollo Aquatics YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel, if you go look, yeah, I didn't post that all that long ago, but you'll shows you a breakdown of how I made the original version. I've changed it up a little bit, so whenever I do this new rack and when I build a new system, I'm going to re-video it with all the upgrades I've made and all the changes. So it should be pretty cool when I get done. I think it'll be really neat for people to see. I know the people have seen my design and really liked it and have copied it, and it's worked well. But I could basically take like a baker's rack and on one shelf of a baker's rack, put 15 different what do you call those shoe boxes, and have water flowing through those at all times, and basically use a sump as a one of the Tupperware containers you slide under your bed for storing whatever you want to store sweaters or whatever slides under your bed, and you pull that out. and I just use that for the bottom. And I put some lava rock in there, and I have a PVC pipe in there with tubes coming out that basically like a big octopus that goes up to all the different containers. It flows through those containers. It's got a hole in the back with filter media, so it flows out and just flows back into the main tank on the bottom layer. The second layer has PVC pipe with an O-ring that you basically make a really cheap a bulkhead out of. You know, so it's like a DIY bulkhead, and the whole thing can leak. That's the greatest part. The whole thing can leak everywhere. It doesn't matter. It's all going to go back into the original sump. So if you have a little bit of leak on that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because the water's coming out the back of it anyhow and dropping back into your sump. So that's the beauty of the thing. It can leak. You don't have to have watertight anything except for the big tub at the bottom, and you don't have to worry about leaks. So I can get 15 of those in just one rack, one not the rack, one shelf. So it's really cool. It's very efficient, and I've had extremely good luck with it. My survival rates have been really good. Let's see here, where are we at? Oops, it jumped on me. I'm glad to be out of real estate. Yeah, I won't want to do that. My Russian turtle poop. You know what? I got a big Sakata tortoise in the backyard. He's probably over 100 pounds now, and he likes dog poop, and the dog likes uh, the tortoise poop. His name's Sherman. So it's kind of a perfect little perpetuating system. You know, the dog eats the tortoise poop, and the tortoise eats the dog poop, and it just kind of recirculates, right? I should never have to feed him. But he just hangs out in the backyard, and he just eats the grass. Bermuda and the St. Augustine are African grasses, so it's the perfect little diet for him. All my other weeds and stuff in the backyard, man, it works ideal. But I just have him in a container out back. It's a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot box. It's insulated. I got a heater in there to keep him warm. But he did make a stir. He was able to bust out of my gate, well, actually through my fence, and went cruising through the neighborhood and went over to the next gated community and was hanging out front there, and everybody thought it was pretty cool. And it was on all the Facebook and the local what's it called, neighborhood app, whatever it is, kind of like a Facebook for neighborhoods. He was in there, and pictures of him, and everybody freaking out. And the guard at the stupid place comes out and tries to give me a hard time. Well, you got to keep him inside. You can't let him just roam around like that. He's going to get hurt. He almost got hit by a car. It's like, what do you think? He's like a cat? I just let him roam the neighborhood. It's like, no kidding, dude. Like, no, I don't want my my tortoise roaming the neighborhood. I'm getting lost. You should have got me a bottle of water before I came alive. Yeah, note to self: it's easier to clean the poop and water. That is absolutely for sure. I'll have 7 tanks. Hey, depends on those 7 tanks, man. You can make 7 tanks look really nice, and 7 big tanks can be a pain to do water changes on. A lot. I heard this thing, bigger is better. Yeah, in a way, yeah. There's definitely some fact to that. But I like smaller tanks. I think smaller tanks for me are much easier to maintain. I could do a water change in a small tank within minutes. But if I got my big 150-gallon aquarium out there to do a 25% water change, it's going to take me a lot longer to do. And so it's easier for me with good old ADD to kind of get distracted and flood it. And so I've only flooded it a couple of times, and that's always fun. Of course, I got a dog that likes to look at the water hose, for the python, that clear hose, and any kind of bubbles or anything that's going through there. She likes to look at that and chase it. So she is constantly running up and down, chasing it, staring at the hose, trying to get the bubbles in there. So when I get distracted like that, and all of a sudden I realize, oh, the tank's about to overflow, or it is overflowing, I scramble. I take off running to the bathroom. Well, here she gets excited too, thinks something's going on. So she starts running with me. And then, of course, she's getting tangled up in me. I'm tripping all over her, yelling at her, trying to get out of my way. She's getting more excited. So it's absolute massive chaos trying to get to the bathroom to turn that water off. And it's just, and this dog is so crazy. I put a video on there too of her just sitting there staring at the biting at the hose. But she does that the whole time. And then she's so nuts now that when we go outside, I have a regular garden hose. She's running around it trying to get to the bubbles, but she's nowhere to see bubbles. It's a solid green hose. It's crazy, crazy dog. But the circus is in town. Not me with the circus. Yeah, fish tank's 12, and shrimp tank's 10. Not bad. You feel anything special to get the koi to color up? is perfect. Fade Akari Vibrobites. You know, Vibrobites work pretty good too. I had a couple of samples of that, and I liked it, but I couldn't find it in big volumes. It doesn't look very hard either. I'm sure you can find it in bigger volumes, but with many fish as I have and as many tanks, I would need quite a bit of that stuff. But it seemed to work really good. I liked it. Uh, they're at Fry State. Keeping a small tank cycled is difficult for me. Time wise, yes, water changes. It's faster. Uh, what kind of setup is your small tank? I've had really no problems with any kind of cycling. I can usually I turn tanks. If I got some empty tanks right now, I'm going to put some fish in tomorrow, maybe this weekend. But I'll just put substrate in the bottom of it that I've washed. I like something crazy. Probably no one's ever uses this stuff, but I have such good luck with it that I don't see me changing. But I use decomposed granite. You buy it at Home Depot, and it's kind of what you use for pathways and nature centers and stuff. It's that kind of reddish colored crushed up, rock. Washed a Man, I have to wash and wash and wash. It's the worst part. It's like nothing but mud. It is terrible to get clean. Once you get clean, it doesn't affect the tank parameters, and it's awesome. So I'll just throw some plants in there and have that in the bottom. And then when I go to put fish in there, I'll just go get one of my nasty tanks. I've got a few tanks with filters on them. Most of my tanks just have an airline, just an empty airline, not even an air stone on it, just an airline going to the tank. But I found one of those tanks, and I'll squeeze some of that moldy, nasty filter material in there and throw small fish in there. Start with small fish or small numbers or small fry or something like that in there. And then I monitor the water parameters for at least a week just to kind of see what's going on and make sure that it's stable. Because sometimes I've done that and it just doesn't want to cycle quite right. I got to add more of that or do some quick water changes, things like that. But once I get them set up, I mean, man, they are as stable can be. I can throw whatever I want in there. It seems not to be a problem. I move fish quite often, so I'll have a whole bunch of fry that have grown up to pretty good sized juveniles, and I'll move all those fry out at one time and just leave the tank. Won't do anything, and I might feed it a little bit, and it might sit there for a month. And then if I get more fry or smaller fish, I'll drop them in there, and it's ready to go. I don't have any problems. Kind of strange. Maybe I'm just lucky. A 5 gallon, 10 gallons, 220 longs, 20 gallon, 40 gallon breeders, and a 54 gallon corner. 54 gallon sounds neat. Average, I think I've never raised koi fry. Koi fry. Back in the 90s. I like buying in bulk. Yes, I definitely buy things in bulk. I bought the those bug bites in a big tub. I don't know how big that tub was, but it was like a $50 tub. What I did is I just took that. Of course, I can't use that much of it anytime soon, but I do have a vacuum sealer. So I took portions of it out, put it in a vacuum sealer, sealed it up, threw it in the freezer uh, to keep it until I'm ready to use it. I've been plants grow out tanks and added shrimp. Oh, cool. So it's almost been an hour. My throat's starting to get dry, but I think I might keep doing this. It's kind of fun. I might start taking some notes, things that happen during the week or whatever. Usually, there's so much crazy stuff going on that I can I can keep entertained for an hour without a problem at all. Especially this weekend. I think this weekend there's so much going on that the next thing that next live I do should be awesome. Especially when I go down and see Tim. I can actually maybe put some put some clips from that. Figure out how to easily put them up onto into this program and get them on so people can see them. So that might be fun. Let's see what we got here. Uh, that's cool. We're getting maybe run ship on going a month or so. I'm gonna switch to that. That's cool. So, well, it's been a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna do this more often. It's a lot of fun. I might try to do it. I don't know. I don't know. No idea what night. Oh man, it's already 11:30. Man, how did I get that late? I guess I started late. Anyhow, I have to find a time. I haven't looked to see what time anybody else is live streaming, see where I can kind of maybe fit in somewhere. But there's so many people streaming right now that I don't know if I can fit anything in that would be stepping on somebody. But obviously, I'm pretty small channel, so I don't think anybody's gonna gonna care if I'm live streaming. I've actually had more people here than I thought I would. So I appreciate everybody from joining, and until next time.